Okay, we're doing Unit 9, Lesson 14. It's reviewing operations with fractions. So we're going to do adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing fractions and determine through a story problem when you do those. You're going to need a note sheet paper today so you can take a few notes because I'm going to do some notes prior to going into the SAB. So make sure you have that and are ready to take a few quick little notes on it. If you need to pause the video so you can go grab that, please do so. All right, so what can we decide about two fractions when one is greater or less than? So let's think about, for example, something like 1/3 and 1/4. How do you know which one's greater and which one's less than? Well, you should be able to tell because a smaller denominator means the larger fraction. Okay, so anytime we have that smaller denominator, we've got that larger fraction. So how do you know which of two fractions with equal denominators is greater? Well, the greater numerator then means that it's the greater fraction. So up here we would say that this one is greater, and down here we would say this one is greater, right? There's more pieces. There's 3/5 pieces. So how do you add or subtract two unlike fractions? Key is common denominator. Gotta have that. And remember our rule for finding the common denominator. Whatever I do the denominator, got to do the numerator, or vice versa. So you have to find an equivalent fraction, multiply to get there. Okay, so how do I add or subtract like fractions? Add only the numerator. Okay, you don't do anything to the denominator. You just add or subtract the numerator, right? So we would get 5/7. Okay, or 4/8, which then I could simplify to 1/2. Okay, so we've got this algebraic example here. Okay, remember, only add the numerators, only subtract the numerators. Okay, when you multiply straight across. There's no worrying about common denominator. You don't need a common denominator. Okay, you just multiply straight across. When you divide, you can either flip it or cross multiply. Right? No common denominator needed. Flip it or cross multiply. Either one. Okay? They're showing you the flip it method. Again, the cross multiply, you guys kind of know. Okay, so that was it for notes. Now we're on to SAB page 401. It's just making a decision on what we're going to do. Hala can ride her bike 7.5 miles an hour. How far can she ride in 3 hours? How far can she ride in 2/3 of an hour? We're going to multiply. We're going to take 3 and multiply that by 7 and 1/2. Okay, 3 times 7 and 1/2. So I could start with just 3 times 7, right? Or I could make this an improper fraction. I can go a variety of ways. If I do 3 times 7, I get 21. And then 3 times half. 3/2 is 1.5, so it'd be plus 1.5. So then I'd get 22 and 1/2. Okay, I'd multiply even to find out in 2/3 of an hour how far she rode. 7.5. This time I might want to make it an improper or go from a mixed number to an improper fraction. 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15 over 2 times 2 over 3, right? 30 over 6. 6 goes into 35 times, so 5 days. Okay, so just kind of thinking about that. Erin's pet rabbit eats 5/12 of a pound of food every day. Erin buys rabbit food in a 5-pound bag. How often does she have to buy a new bag? We're going to divide. We're going to take 1 and 2/3 and divide it by 1/3. Okay. So I should find then that 5 days. Okay. Jason practices the trumpet for 1 2/3 hours every day. He practices scales 1/3 of an hour. So how many times does he practice scales? We're going to divide again. We're going to take 1 2/3, divide that by 1/3. Okay. Make this an improper fraction, or make this mixed number an improper fraction. So 1 times 3 is 1, plus 2, 5/3. Cross multiply 3/1 is 5. Okay, that's a T times. Okay, Jonathan can throw a baseball 10 1/3 yards. His brother Joey can throw a baseball 13 1/12. How much farther? This is subtraction. You're going to take that larger 13 1/12, subtract out 10 1/3. Okay, need to find that common denominator first, and then work on through. Oops, this should be a 12, right? So I'm going to take 3 up to 12 by multiplying by 4. Multiply by 4. So 12, 4 12ths. Okay. And then I'm going to have to borrow and make this 13 12ths minus 4 12ths, which is 9 12ths. And I borrowed from here, so this is now 12. 12 minus 10 is 2, and 9 12ths. And then I can simplify that to 2 3/4 yards. Okay. Kim bought 3/8 of a pound of sunflower seeds and 3/16 a pound of thistle. How many seeds did she buy in all? You're adding 3/8 plus 3/16. Common denominator it again. Multiply by 2. Multiply by 2, following my rule. 3/16 plus 6/16. All right. 3/16 plus 6/16 is 9/16 lbs pounds. Okay. Cassandra's fishbowl holds 9/10 of a gallon of water. It's now 2/3 full. How much water does it have? Multiply 2/3 times 9/10. Okay, I'm going to reduce first. 1, 3, 1, 5, 3/5. Marcus plays basketball for 9 hours each week. His friend Lou spends 1/5 as much time. Who plays more? Well, Marcus. Right? Because his friend Lou only spends a portion of the time. Okay? How much time specifically does he spend? So now we're going to take 9 and multiply it by 5, 6. Okay? 9 times 5, 6. Put that over 1. I'm going to simplify. 15 over 2, simplify that down, 7.5 hours. Okay. Stacy's long jump is 10 feet. That's 5/6 of a foot longer than Ron's jump. Does Ron jump more or less? Well, less, because it already just told me that she jumps more. How long is Ron's jump? Okay, 5/6 of a foot longer. So now I'm going to subtract. I'm going to do it mental math. 6 6 would be a whole. 5 6, so 9 1/6 feet. You guys kind of see what I did there, hopefully. Okay, going forward, I just want some quick practice here. Let's pick just a couple of these to try out. I think you guys are getting fairly good at this. So on division, flip it and multiply 7/15 times 3/2. Make this a 5 and this a 1. So 7/10. Okay. Adding, you're going to have to find a common denominator. Okay, and then add across. If you guys feel like you need some more practice, go ahead and work those. I want to come down here and talk about these. Is C going to be greater or less than A when you multiply? Well, A is going to be bigger because now you're talking C is a portion of A. When you divide, C is going to be greater. There's going to be more bits and pieces, right? When I add a fraction, the answer is going to be larger, right? It's like saying if this was 1 and this was a half, well, C is going to be larger. When I subtract, however, A is going to be larger. Okay. I'm going to stop here for today, and if you guys don't have the hang of it, you can go on up and try some more problems and check them tomorrow in class.